right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are joining us. This, of course, I'm joining you from the eastern part of Africa, and of course, it's a wonderful evening here. So, welcome to Afrique 24-hour TV. This is a talk show that comes on your screens every night from 10 up to late night. And of course, we are live on Mutembei TV Facebook page. We are live on Afrique 24-hour TV. That is both X and YouTube and our Facebook handles. We're also live on Leo TV. So if you've not subscribed to any, kindly hit the subscribe button, share, and turn on the notification bell so that whenever we're having a show like the one we're going to have today, we'll always be able to notify you. Of course, today your host is Leo Nyabaya. I'm here and we are going to have some interactive talk show here. I'm going to be joined later by other panelists, Mzalendo. I'm going to be joined by Boniface and, of course, Alex Ogenga. We're just discussing matters of politics, what happens, what is expected to happen, and what is taking place. We know a lot has been happening within the country. And just to start by this weekend, we had witnessed a controversial death of the former cabinet secretary, the former minister, and the former chair of Youth for KANU 1992, that is Cyrus Jirongo, who is claimed to have gotten head-on collision on the way to Naivasha with a bus that was filling about 65 people, that is Climax Bus. Though a lot has been questioned, the people who questioned much on how this happened. There have been claims that this gentleman was driving from Karen. There have been claims that it ought or it might not have been an accident, as the eyewitness who they say the driver is the one who came out as an eyewitness to claim that he's responsible for taking the life of one's most powerful chairman, one's most powerful individual. He was the Farouk of Daniel Torotich Arap Moi. So welcome on today's show, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to discuss a lot. On top of the stories, of course, this is something that you all know. I know all of you. Let me take water first. All of you are just waiting to see this story. There's something that has been happening, yeah? You know, since Raila Odinga passed on, there have been some battles within the ODM party. There have been battles within the voter identity that was controlled by Raila Odinga, specifically when it comes to this thing called kingpin, kingship, and queenpin issue. We've seen the ODM party being torn into parts. We've seen a group led by Gladys Wanga and Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi, Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi, and other beneficiaries of broad-based government like Robert Alai, singing a song that is different from the one that is being sung by a certain group that is led by Babu Owino, the Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, people like Caleb Amisi, who seem to be getting support from the old guards like James Orengo, who up to today's meeting that he had in Migori, still claims that ODM should not blindly follow and support William Ruto. In these fights, there have been casualties. And last time when the Odinga Jaramogi's family was sending off their daughter, that is Beryl, in Kango Kajaramogi, we saw what happened when Winnie Odinga Chogo, the last one, Raila Odinga, publicly said that ODM should embrace divergent voices. And she specifically introduced Babu Owino as her friend and asked the people like Gladys Wanga to give such voices a room so that they can be heard. We saw the rush that was done by deputy party leaders like Abdul Samad, even before Raila's body was repatriated from India, to install Oburu Odinga as the party leader, a decision that was later ratified by the National Governing Committee, and Oburu Odinga is currently the legal party leader of ODM Party. It seemed that people were not happy with this, and this one was also evident publicly when Winnie Odinga at some point differed on how the party is being run. She at some point claimed that ODM was not formed in boardrooms for people to sit down in boardrooms and make decisions. So that one clearly tells you that there is a lot that is happening behind the curtain. But that's a story for another day. That is a debate for another day. So if you're joining me for the first time, kindly subscribe to our channels. That is Utebei TV, Leo TV, and Afrique 24-hour TV. So subscribe and share with friends so that whenever we're having this kind of show, you'll always be able to join and partake on it. If you also want to join me in studio and take part in today's discussion, I've shared the link on the comment section. So use the link, join the show, and let's keep talking. It's a talk show, of course, we have to talk. What we've been waiting for, there's something that happened some few days. There's this controversial social media user, I don't know if I can call her a blogger, called Maverick Aoko. Aoko is the tea supplier. She's the one who will supply you with the tea, and what you do, you'll only have to buy or order your bread and wait for her tea. So kuna kachai, she sent some tea, of course, and this tea seemed to have been bitter sweet. I don't know if she mixed it with some ginger, because so many people have been icked by the tea. The tea touched on the personality of Raila Odinga's widow, that is Ide Odinga. And there's some claims that she made on that post that I won't feel comfortable maybe reading the post here. But before that, so that I can comfortably maybe read such post and play the video that I'm going to play, let me put a disclaimer that the information that Afrique is for general purposes only, and published in good faith without warranties regarding accuracy or competence. So that's just a disclaimer that all the things that we're discussing here, they are not Afrique, and Afrique is not responsible. So all the debaters, all the comments that we are going to interact with are going to be personally maybe the responsibility will lie with the people who are going to make such comments. So this kind of post has really made people mad, and people have said that since Maverick works for Babu Owino, which is a fact, Maverick Aoko works for Babu Owino, she is her blogger, Babu is her lawyer. So people claim that when she was typing this thing, she typed it with the knowledge of Babu Owino. Then the question is, how would Babu allow his blogger to tarnish the name of a woman in the capacity of Mama Ide Odinga? Yet he claims that he loves the Odinga family, and he also wants to be a Luo kingpin. And remember, Mama Ide Odinga is called Minpin. Minpin, loosely translated, means the mother of the earth, the mother of the world, and the world in that context is the Luo community. So how will Babu lead the Luo community if he's showing disrespect to the mother of the community? Most people, Kenyans on TikTok, are called on Mr. Owino to dissociate with Maverick and maybe apologize to the Odinga family. But I'm going to read the post that he made. This is what Babu said. Maverick Aoko is my friend and my fierce supporter, of which I'm truly grateful and appreciative. Oftentimes, when she posts on X, people are under impression that I'm the one who tells her what to post. Maverick is an independent-minded person. I don't know her sources, and I've never told her to attack the Odinga family. Winnie Odinga is my friend, Junior is my friend, and Rosemary is my friend too. How can I insult their only mother? Mama Ida loves me like her son, welcomes me home, and gives me food whenever I visit her. I can never insult such a mom. She's been good to me and I love her. That was the response from Babu, and people have really interpreted this response differently. And I'll later on share some narration from what happened with Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and his opponent in Tanzania. So people feel like what Babu ought to have done was, first of all, to disown Maverick, of which, if we interpret that post, it seemed that Babu did not do that. I'll also play for you a video of Gaucho. Of course, Gaucho is also mentioned in the post that was made by Aoko. So allow me just to appreciate those people who've joined us. Dominic Lekishon, Karibu Sana, Azimio Real, I can see Alfonso Mondi, Daktari, Wekesa Davies, Robert Mutiani, Ishmael Marubi Maziwa, Awonda Tekla, Karibu Sana, Elkana Kirui, and so many others who've joined us both on Facebook, YouTube, and X. So keep joining, subscribe if you've not subscribed to our channels. Of course, I've told you we are live in Mtebei TV, Leo TV, Africa 24 hour, both on our YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Not TikTok, sorry, but we're on the X handles. Very soon we'll be streaming live in the TikTok. So I want to give this story. I just want to give this scenario before I go to what Gaucho said, and we weigh on it and see, is Babu disowning Aoko or giving Aoko that very space that she's been enjoying? Because according to Babu's post, it seemed that she did not dissociate with Aoko, but encouraged her and called it the freedom of speech. So there was this, the late President Julius Nyerere had some fine supporters and the loyalists, like somebody who was called Pius Msekwa. And later we know Pius Msekwa rose and became the Speaker of the National Assembly in Tanzania. So on one occasion, while attending a funeral in his home at a place called Bukoba, Msekwa made remarks about Oscar Kambona. Remember, Kambona was an opponent of Nyerere, who later, they were actually former friends and later they became opponents. Although the statement was delivered with wisdom, it carried some undertones that sounded insulting to Kambona's family, particularly his mother. So this is what Nyerere did. He called Mseko and told him that, you see, siasa si mashindano ya matusi wala maneno yasiyopimwa, bali ni ushindani wa sera na dira ya kubadilisha maisha ya wananchi. Siasa isitupokonye utu wetu wala isitufanye tukose heshima kwa wengine. Hata tunapotofautiana, ni wajibu wetu kufanya hivyo kwa staaraha na heshima, bali sio kutusiana. So those are some of the things that Nyerere told Msekwa, who later on compiled and apologized. And of course, we can say that true leadership demands the courage to make bold decisions. Like what was expected of Babu was just to make a bold decision and apologize and dissociate with Maverick Aoko. Kelly Kefa, I can see you from Eshiwaboli. Which state is that, my friend? Eshiwaboli. Is that on Western or I don't know. Uko ni Shakahola ama ni wapi, bro? Huh? So if you look at this in contrast with what Babu's response, you'll find that Babu's response to public concerns over an incident directed to Mama Ida or the Minupin by one of his supporters, Maverick Aoko, conveys different impression. So, rather than firmly condemning the insult, what he did, he frames the matter as an exercise of Aoko's freedom of expression. And instead, he emphasizes his close relationship with Raila's family. Yet, what somebody is asking, how can you allow a person within your circles to demean the person that you claim to be your mother? That's the question that most Kenyans are asking. Yeah? Eti Papu kafanya nini? Zakayo, Babu hajafanya kitu. What has happened? Ni ule mmoja wao wa blogger wa Babu ameweza kumtusi, sijui niseme ni kumtusi ama niseme ni kuandika maneno yasiyofaa, maneno machafu kuhusu Mama Ida. Oh, Ishobeli from Kakamega County, Huisero sub-county. Karibu sana baba, pole. Najua mnaomboleza Cyrus Jirongo. Of course, we're also going to get time to look at the controversy that surrounds the death of Cyrus Jirongo. Of course, it is in public domain that the close allies, people like Fred Gumo, have come out to say that, you see, that wasn't an accident. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining me for the first time, we are just looking at Babu has disowned Aoko. And how is this one going to affect his quest? Remember, he currently wants to become the governor of Nairobi, and he's also fighting on the tag that Bada Baba ni Babu, na ni Babu bila sababu, bila Babu. I'm not good in Swahili. Somebody is saying that can Babu Owino and Maverick Aoko follow the same integrity and decorum like Mwalimu Nyerere and his friend did? Yeah, that is the question that people are asking here, because when Nyerere's close ally went and attacked the parent of his opponent, he told them that in politics we might differ, but we have to differ in ideologies. And the good thing that that gentleman did, he went and apologized. But Babu haven't sent an apology. Instead, he's shown how strong he's connected to Maverick Aoko. And when you want to infer or get an implication of his response, is that what Aoko was doing, Aoko was within her rights to express her freedom of speech. We know the freedoms of speech that we are enjoying. Some of them were fought by the person, the husband of the person they are now demeaning. Zakayo wa Subukia, Zakayo, karibu watching live from Malindi town. Wasalimu hao watu wa Malindi wote, waambie tunawapenda na waambie waweze wazidi kutazama Mtembei Afrika na Leo TV. Sisi hapa tuko kuwaletea habari na kuongoza mazungumzo yanayofaa kama haya. That's why tunasema huu uhuru tulipewa wa kujiongelea huku uzimwe kidogo. Mzee, unataka turudi tukue kama Tanganyika? You saw what happened in Tanzania, eh? Tuzimie nini? Ladies, I just want to play a short video. This is a video by Gaucho. And Gaucho, because he's also mentioned, I don't want to get back to that post by Aoko. It's really, I don't know how I can describe it. But listen to Gaucho's response, then we're gonna weigh on that.
Vile mnajua ni Gaucho, mwanasoja wa Raila Odinga. Mimi sijatoka kwa Raila, bado niko hapo. Iko kitu nataka kuongelelea leo. Nilinyamaza kutoka jana na nimekuanga nikinyamaza kwa hiyo story kwa muda mrefu sana. Hii story ya msichana anaitwa Maverick Aoko, ambayo ni dada yangu, nasikia anatoka Migori. Sijajua Migori sehemu gani, but nasikia tu anatoka Migori. Sijawahi respond kwa vitu zake hata, but sitaki kurespond kwake. Nataka kurespond kwa mdozi wake, ambayo ni ndugu yangu mkubwa Babu Owino, ambayo ni boss wake. Huyo ni blogger wake, ni mtu ambaye anamfanyia kazi. I think wale wanataka kuweka Babu governor Nairobi ni Maverick Aoko na wale mwingine anaitwa Nyako na ule Nyako ule akusiji jamani ama wapi. Hao ndio wanataka hao ndio wafanyikazi wake kwa online. Nataka kuambia ndugu yangu Babu, kama una claim ya kwamba wewe ni rafiki ya Winnie, na vile Winnie juzi alikuintroduce pale kwa matanga ya kwamba upewe chance ili uongenge mind yako, sidhani kama unaweza kubali ya kwamba watu kama Maverick Aoko, Nyako na bloggers kama hao ndio wanakuja kwa media kutusi mama yetu na kumrudisha chini, kumfix jina yangu na yeye kumfix jina yake kwa kiwango kwa mtu kama mimi. Unaona, hiyo ni madharau ambayo kama uko genuine story. Maverick Aoko hajaanza kuongea leo, amekuanga kiongea hata kama baba ako hai, alikuwa na mtuzi na mambo mingi sana. Na wewe unakunywa chai na jioni, mnakutana parliament, unaenda kumbili kwa koti, unakwamba ukisimama na yeye na anaongea vibaya kuhusu mtu alikufa anaitwa Odinga, ambao una claim ya kwamba ni baba yako, unasema ni mentor yako. The same anarudisha mama yetu ya taifa. Hakuna mama yote anaitwa Minpin katika hii nchi. Hata bibi Uhuru haitwi Minpin. Bibi ya mama Ngina Kenyatta haitwi mama ya Minpin. Bibi ya Ruto haitwi Minpin. Hakuna mama yote anaitwa Minpin except mama Ido Odinga. Vile hakuna baba yote alikuwa anaitwa baba nchi except baba Raila Odinga peke yake. Ndio mpaka wazee walikuwa wanaita baba. Unakubali Maverick Aoko ameshindanga akimtusi, na ndio main supporter wako ambaye anataka kukuweka governor, anataka kukuweka kingpin, anataka kukuweka party leader ya ODM. Yeye ndiye anajua kwamba wewe ndio intelligent man, vile una claim ya kwamba wewe ndio umesoma sana na wewe ndio unakonga wise sana. Mama wetu Mama Ida, mtu anatusi saa hii ambaye amepoteza Raila Odinga. Na sisi pia kama ufasi wake wa baba tumepoteza baba yetu Odinga. Alafu msichana ambao ni rafiki yako, kampena wako mkubwa, anatusi mama na upuzi zingine. Unaona? Mama ambayo watu wamepea heshima Kenya na nje ya Kenya. In the name ya kwamba mimi nakuanga close ya Odinga na Odinga family. In the name ya kwamba mimi Mama Ido kuanga amenichukua kama mtoto wake. In the name ya kwamba familia ya Odinga wamenichukua close now. So mkaona ya kwamba ile kitu tunaweza fanya, juu mimi Gaucho sifai kupendwa na familia kama hiyo. Juu mimi si MP, hakuna mtu wetu ambao ni women rep, hakuna mtu wetu ambao ni governor, hakuna mtu wetu ambao ni senator. Familia ya Odinga nilijuana nao through msichana wake Rosemary Odinga. Na hiyo family nimefanya nikuwe mtu. Hiyo family nimeniosha. Mungu aliingia kwao na wakafanya mimi nikuwe mtu. Mimi baba yangu alikufa 92 sikumuona. Mama yangu alikufa 1992 sikukuwa na yeye. Leo heshima nimepewa hata kwetu nyumbani kwa sababu ya hiyo family ya Mama Ida, ambayo mwanamke fulani ambayo mdozi wake ni Babu Owino anakuja kumtusi kwa social media. Sasa ile tumepoteza baba yetu Odinga. Alafu mna expect mimi Gaucho eti nikuje nikampenie babu. Eti mimi Gaucho eti niseme babu ndiye anaweza kuwa kiongozi wangu. Eti mseme Gaucho mimi. Eti babu anaweza nipea direction ya kwenda wapi? Ya kwenda kufanya nini? My friend, hiyo ndio kitu, the last thing naweza fanya kwa life yangu. Afadhali my political career iishe, but kumtuaizi nipea direction. Hakuna haja ukuwe rafiki ambao unacheka na mtu na nyuma umeweka panga. Unaona? Unaweza nidharau mimi, nimekubali. Babu, ambia hao mabloggers wako, mimi wanidharau mimi mtoto wa nobody. Unidharau, unitusi, tusi hata mama yangu, tusi hata familia yangu yote. But wacha Mama Ida, waambie, wawache Mama Ida Odinga. Wawache Mama Winnie, wawache Mama Rosemary. Hiyo family imeinua watu wengi mpaka wewe. Kama si Raila Odinga na huyo Mama Ida ambayo blogger wako anatusi, aonge kuwa MP mpaka East. Na babu, nakuambia tu kama mchezo tu, kama ndugu yangu mkubwa. Kama we ni mwanaume kweli ya Mwenyezi Mungu, wacha vile ulikuwa tuambia kwamba umeshapeana direction. Utakuja kupea Wajaluo direction. Direction ya kwenda wapi? Direction tulishapewa na Raila Odinga. Mtu mwingine atatupea direction hapa. Either huyo Mama Ida ambayo blogger wako anatusi ama Oburu Odinga. Na huyo mama ndiye anaweza tupea direction mali tunaenda na ile kitu tunafaa tufanye. Wewe ulisema unataka kutupea direction. Direction unapeana ambao ulishapeana kukikuwa na Kalonzo kama baba hajakufa. Ulishaenda ukavaa kofia wiper ya kwamba wewe unataka kutupea direction mara ngapi? Mimi nasema mimi munidharau, ukose kuniheshimu, mimi nimekubali. Munitusi, unichore, mimi nimekubali. Lakini wacheni minipin Mama Ida Odinga. Bado wanamon bwana yake. Mumpe heshima yake. Ni mama ambaye amesafa katika nchi hii akingoja baba Raila Odinga 9 years. Huyo mama alikuwa na safa nje. So mnakuja mnaweka vitu zingine, na Wakenya pia iko vitu zingine tufai kuentertain. Kama ule anaweza tusi mama kama ule, na wewe akipata mama yako. Na mimi naambia Maverick, dada yangu, huyo mtu namfanyia kazi wewe umjui. Huyo wewe umjui. Wewe umjui. Endo muulize Wajaluo ngapi vijana wameinua. Endo muulize vijana wangapi wa smart Wajaluo ambao wameinua. Mimi nakwambia umjui. Na mimi nakwambia dada yangu, mimi sina shida na wewe, but usicreate ama mtu akutumie vibaya. Usikubali mtu akutumie vibaya. Huyo mtu ni mtu za kutumia vibaya, then yeye mwenyewe akufanyie kitu naende apige nduru kuliko kila mtu. Wewe umjui. Mimi nilikuwa rafiki yake kuliko wewe. Mimi nilikuwa rafiki, ni mtu anakuchekesha kwa meno, lakini nyuma amekufichia panga. Huyo ndio huyo mtu naona ni mweupe. Ni mweupe sura, lakini roho ni nyeusi mbaya sana. So mimi nasema please, mimi nimekubali munitusi. Uniongelelee kitu yote, but respect Mama Ida Odinga na Odinga family.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Gaucho, of course. He was trying to express, should I say, his frustrations, or he just trying to explain himself? Because you'll remember in the post that has controversially brought this kind of debate that was made by Maverick Aoko. Gaucho was also named. So welcome for the ones who are joining me. Zaina Bestie. Guys, kindly mjaribu kutype zile vitu naweza soma. Abuya Dominic, karibu sana bana, wacha mambo zako. Zakayo Asubuki is saying that vile papu ataanguka hata yeye mwenyewe hata amini. JB Majanga friend. That word T, Jatir. Icheze ndio tuangalie game ya Mama Esther. So which team is this one called Mama Esther? Anyway, hi Siru. So let us continue. So guys, we are trying to check on what are the implications of these kind of should I call it insults or some malice from Maverick on Babu's political journey. I remember Babu currently wants to become the Nairobi County Governor. Of course, he declared he wants to become a governor. He also declared that in future he wants to become the Kenyan president. And of course, he's also eyeing the kingpinship, Baba ni Babu. So they've also been that kind of conversation whereby Babu wants to be a force that is going to replace Raila. I remember Raila was not only seen as the Luo political leader, but he also led the entire ODM, a party that has got following from across the entire country. So for Babu to be able to maybe fit into Raila's shoe, he must be at a position to lead not only the Luos, but also to lead these other communities that were subscribed to ODM and the ones that were subscribed to the leadership of Raila Odinga. So here comes claims that he is most or very trusted blogger is the one who is talking ill and giving some unconfirmed information about the family of the late Raila Odinga. So people expected, and of course, people wanted Babu to come out and first of all disassociate himself or disown Maverick Aoko. And after disowning Maverick Aoko, they also expected Babu to apologize to the Odinga family on the issues or maybe the things that people feel that are so disrespectful to a lady of the caliber of Mama Ida. So Aoko keeps on giving tea, she keeps on kupeana chai, but the pain or the loss is directed to Babu Owino. You've heard Gaucho saying that he's not going to address Maverick Aoko, but he's not going to address the dog, but he's going to address the dog owner. So right now we cannot tell whether Babu Owino is the one who is instructing Aoko to post or to type whatever she's been typing. But the fact that Babu failed to condemn or disassociate with that can be interpreted as if she encourages such kind of things. So Prince Silas Isaiah Karibu, I can see Eric Ayeta, Marian Wanjiru Munyi, Jackson Ombogo, Suspito Gendo, Paul Ule Mjamo, Hesham Hash Albash. So if you don't subscribe, kindly subscribe. We are proceeding with this discussion. Of course, Babu has refused to disown Aoko. So people try to interpret it differently. You've heard from Gaucho that Babu cannot give him and maybe the people or who has got similar thoughts, direction, because Babu himself already took a direction before Raila's death. The direction that Babu took was that he said Kalonzo Tosha and was perceived to have joined Wiper. So now, how can he again overturn the direction that he already taken, then come and want to give the ODM supporters another direction? There are people who've never been decided whether to support Babu's candidature as Nairobi governor and the entire ODM leadership. The people who've been on the fence and have never made their mind. So it's also believed that this association with the Aoko and the love that these people have with the Odinga family is drawing them away from Babu, and Babu starts to lose. So in this case, Babu has got to choose between Maverick and his political future. But again, those people who've known Aoko, I know you and I know Aoko. Aoko is that person that you cannot just drop like that. You've heard stories with people like John Buddy and the rest. So people think like Aoko is also trying to blackmail Babu. That, I've worked close with you. I know your secrets. I know you well. So it is either you stay with me or I destroy you. So Babu has been left in a is it catch whatever situation whereby do I disown Aoko? Then Aoko goes ahead and release. Oh, now Aoko is the female version of Migona. You remember what happened when ODM parted ways with Migona after the 2007-2008 general elections? When Miguna went ahead to write the book Peeling Back the Mask and the Aftermath. So Babu is also in that situation. You drop Aoko, then Aoko prepares your tea. You stay with Aoko, then you lose majority of the Luo voting bloc who still believed in the leadership of the Odinga family and takes Mama Ida as a person who represents Raila Odinga, who is not there right now. So that is how things are. Mambo yamechemka, and Babu, I don't know what step he's going to take. And as right now, things are in the balance situation. So he doesn't know what to do. Away from that, Erika Yeta Karibu, you can see Evelyn Nyobi. Karibuni sana. Kwa wale waja subscribe, kindly try and subscribe so that whenever we're having this kind of talk show, you'll always be able to join. And if you also want to join me in studio and be part of the discussion, of course, I've shared the link on the comment section, so you can just click on the link, join the studio so that we can keep it rolling. Another thing also happened, and the death of Cyrus Jirongo. I don't know what you perceive outside there, but there are people who feel that Jirongo's death is not an accident as it's reported or as it was reported. People also say that, this gentleman was killed somewhere and the body buried. And so many conspiracy theories are coming up as we are waiting for the information, of course, from the investigative authorities, who are the ones who are legally mandated to give us final findings based on facts. But right now, Kenyans here and there are speculating. So the question is, what might make a government, because all the arrows are pointing at the government. So what can make a government to terminate the life of an old Cyrus Jirongo at the moment? Is it a business gone wrong? Is it for political purposes? Because the last time I checked, Jirongo was hosting a podcast. He wasn't interested in any political position. He wasn't that politically influential to an extent that he would maybe go against the powers that may be. So there are a lot of controversial issues surrounding the death of the Jirongo, but we say in Africa, when a poor man dies, they say it is God's will, and the person have just undergone the rites of passage or the stages in life. But when a rich man dies, they'll always try to come up with some theories to try and connect the death to such theories. So rich men don't die. They are always assassinated, they're terminated, they are killed, or such kind of things. So that discussion is also going on. We are yet to get a final report from the investigative authorities, and of course, they're the ones who are going to give us the factual report on what exactly happened. The only witness that we've seen publicly is the one, the driver, and people asking, this person got an accident and it was a head-on collision, and the bus had 65 plus members and the driver. So what happened to the other people, and where they were they not able to maybe get some microphones of the person or to give part of their stories? But this is Kenya. Anything is possible. Any discussion is valid, and of course, at the end of the day, people enjoy the freedom of speech. So welcome to the conversation. You can join the studio, of course, and be part of this conversation. You can give your views. You can also use the chat comment there. Type your view on this kind of discussions. Of course, we just discuss matters, politics and Kenyan politics. A lot is happening as we are also heading towards the succession politics. We are winding up 2025 in the next 2 weeks, and we are starting 2026. Then 2027 is here, August. Is it 2-term, 1-term, no term, whatever term? The president, you heard the speech that he made on 12th, that was the 62nd Jamhuri Day, and it was a statement, or it was a speech full of hope, speech full of future, and some media houses reported that promise after promise, ahadi juu ya ahadi, and some Kenyans followed keenly, and based on that speech, if those things that were outlined will really happen, then we can as well say term ni mbili. So the ball is now in the president's court to ensure that all those promises are actualized, because if the promises are actualized, I don't think people will have a reason maybe to deny him votes. There are also some pronouncements that were made, renaming of the Talanta Stadium to Raila Amolo Odinga International Stadium, something that has also sparked some debates, and people asking, why do you have to rename the stadium to Raila? Was Raila the best footballer, or was he an architect? Or why do you have to name it? Though those are just people's opinions. Of course, we've seen that trend in this country before. We have hospitals named after Kenyatta, who wasn't a doctor. We have stadiums named after Moi, who wasn't a footballer. We've had universities named after Kenyatta and Moi, who weren't even scholars, and even an airport named after Jomo Kenyatta, who even feared using the flight. Good year, Gypsy Corner, I can see you, bro. Welcome. A lot has happened in this country. We are just trying to weigh on this issue of Babu Owino. When Babu is trying to collect his tools so that he can become the Luo kingpin, the ODM party leader, Nairobi governor, and in future the president of this beautiful country called Kenya. Then comes Maverick Aoko, who is closely associated to him, spewing some kind of nonsense on social media, touching on the personal attack on Raila's widow. Then people are now starting to question, what are the priorities of Babu? Is he really serious? Because for you to be able to win the community that he wants to lead, these are community that reverse the Odinga's family, and actually Ida Odinga is referred to as the mother of the earth. So he is the mother of the entire community. So any disrespect to her is perceived to be disrespect to the entire community that you want to lead. So that's some of the things that are trying to weigh. What are some of the impacts of Aoko's tweets or Aoko's post on Babu's political future? Does it mean that Babu have reached a point of giving up on becoming the Luo kingpin? Or is it that Aoko is out to sink Mr. Ongeli's ship even after he's gone to Got Matar to try and trace his ancestral background, and currently he relocated? Babu is no longer from Migori but is from Siaya at a place called Got Matar. So let me know from the comment section, what is your feeling on this? What is your take on this? You've also had Gaucho coming out to condemn the sentiments and making it clear that he still belongs to the Odinga family, and anybody who wants to soil the name of the Odinga family, he is not going to believe. Who is going to disrespect or show some kind of disrespect to the Odinga's family, they're not going to associate with that. That is a discussion that, of course, is going on wherever you go. That is what people have been discussing. And people expected Babu to come out and apologize. And from his response, he didn't apologize. Instead, he affirmed his close relationship with the other, and went ahead to claim that Maverick Aoko is within her right to express her views based on the right and freedom of speech. And also, he said he doesn't know the source of the information. So in that, you can imply that the information is right, and Babu is not responsible for the source. I don't like Maverick Aoko. I don't watch her. She has got no respect for Mama either. She has crossed the line. But let me ask you, Gypsy, Goodyear. So how powerful is this Maverick? Because it is not the first time. Maverick doesn't have boundaries. So when you're talking of the red line, I don't know. Maverick has been touching on the people who people believe are untouchable. You've been touching on the president. Tell me anybody that Maverick have not touched on the wrong side. Yeah? So maybe she's so powerful. Yeah? Oh, we can't applaud William Samoei Ruto since he has deprived this country and made us sink in unnecessary debts. I just wish that Atlanta was a manufacturing industry offering Kenyans job. You can imagine the billions we'll pay just for a stadium. Patrick N. Osoi. Patrick, I think no, and maybe I might not respond to you, but those people who you can't be able to see me in a jersey. So we who like football, we know what the stadium means. And if you just even Google across the entire world, those stadiums have got the value. Remember, we are going to have a continental requirement is that we need to have a stadium of that caliber. I just imagine at some point Harambee Stars will be playing their home games away simply because we don't have a FIFA standard stadium. So some point we have to maybe criticize things positively, and the things that are worth the plan to build the stadium did not only start with William. Remember, the people who voted Jubilee in 2013 and 2017 were promised 9 stadiums, something that when Ruru was seeking re-election, people really campaigned against him because he failed to deliver these stadiums. Instead, we saw some mediocre cattle or the cow sheds being built across the counties. And for this, we have to appreciate that thing called Talanta is having a lot of economic values. Those are some of the infrastructures that we need to appreciate. Maybe if you have an issue with it, you can come clear and tell us how you think the stadium is not going to benefit us either economically or in whichever way. But you also have to understand that sports is a multi-billion-dollar investment. It is just that lack of such kind of facilities is what has made our country to lag behind when it comes to this kind of infrastructure. So Maverick Aoko is cashing in people's misery, it's sad if that is how she makes her cash. I've been looking for Gormaya jersey. Oh, Gormaya jersey Goodyear is readily available. I think you need to reach out to me. I also got one sent to me. I wasn't around, but one was sent to me. And for the first time, we have to appreciate their office for ensuring that the jerseys are there, and they are even sold at the branch level. Yeah, they got a $20, I think so. Genuine ones. Forget about the fake ones. So they have a shop. There's one called West whatever in Nairobi. There is one next to the Nairobi Sports House. I can give you the location, but if you get in touch, I can also connect you with somebody who can ship it wherever you are. So I think we'll see each other later so that you can be able to get one. You want a jersey, and somebody saying that we should not applaud William Ruto for the stadia. Those are some of the things that he outlined. Of course, if you listen to the speech, Ruto really talked of the infrastructure, the dueling of the Mau road, that road that took the life of the former minister, Jirongo, and also mentioned something to do with, how do we call it, the expressway that will start from the Museum Hill to Thika. A good idea if implemented. I don't think nobody would like it the same way we like the expressway that was done through the private public-private partnership. And of course, all these things that you're going to do, there are some that the country will have to borrow money, and there are some that you're going to do the PP, the public-private partnerships, and the money will be recovered and such kind of things. And we know what happens when we work on our infrastructure. And it's just unfortunate that the Adani deal did not go well. But right now, we will be smiling. There are a lot of issues. Of course, there are some downs, there are some negative things, and there are some positive. But we are going to see what is going to happen. From next year, people are going to hit the ground on campaigns. But from where I sit, if I try to look at the kind of the opposition that we have and the aggressive president that we have, I sometimes sit back and say, like, are these people having the balls to give Ruto a run for his money? At this particular time, in 2021, William Ruto was giving Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta a hard time. At this particular time, in 2016, Raila Odinga was giving the government sleepless nights. But what do you see of what the people who call themselves the United Opposition? They don't have energy. They don't have the financial muscles. They don't have some organic following. They don't have some ideologies that people can identify with. At this particular time in 2021, William Ruto had already built a brand and set the agenda. The hustler narrative was already selling, and people will identify as hustlers and such kind of things. But right now, the one-term thing has lost taste, and you cannot tell me that you want to go for an election next year. I'm talking of next year because we're only remaining with 3 weeks to 2026, when the only narrative that is there is one term, which has already lost the taste. At this point in 2016, was it the NASA or the Azimio thing, was already an ideology, and the people had already been recruited into this kind of ideology. But right now, we are still seeing opposition that is still gambling with creating the narrative. Okay? Now, kidogo, the opposition is letting us down. We need an aggressive opposition. If this is the kind of opposition that you want to go with in the election, then we won't even have the guts to say that, oh, you see, William has rigged. We are just going to hand him over this thing. Amos Busire, Karibu, one time lost the direction a long time ago. Yeah, I agree with you, Amos. Nobody now wants to listen to one time because one time is not an ideology. It is a cliche that didn't even last months. The united opposition is more divided than the name. Ruto was right to rename the stadium the late Honorable Raila was not just a common man, but he was one of the fighters. Great. There's no united opposition. Gachagua bullying them as the boss before. And remember, the Gachagua who is bullying them as the boss is somebody who was impeached and constitutionally cannot contest. At the same time, he wants to call the shots. He wants to take the shots and say, you see, Kalonzo, anataka kuwapanga. Anataka kuwapanga. I think maybe we started with the, how do you call this gentleman? There was this one who is now the Vampire Diaries, who went back to his furniture business. Then later on, we started hyping Okia Omtata. We hyped the former Chief Justice Emeritus Maraga. So now we've narrowed the selection. Now we are now having Matiang'i, who already did not pick. We are having Kalonzo, we are having Karua, and Gachagua, who want to be on the ballot. I think even those people who did not want Ruto to have a second term will have no option but just to vote Ruto, because he's competing with people who are not organized, people who doesn't know what they want, people who've started dividing and fighting over the positions that are not there. Those are the important things that we need to ask ourselves as much as we try to talk of united opposition and one term. And Ruto is a cunning man. He already started telling them that, one time is not an agenda. Hawa watu hawana mpango. Mpango yao ni Ruto, Kasongo, one time and the rest. He beats them in their own game, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you think Kenyans can do if surely they don't want the leadership of William Ruto, the one they call Kasongo? So things are getting to that point. We are having only a year, and people will be getting to the campaigns. We can see the ODM and the UDA parks are already realigning themselves. Today, ODM was in Uasin Gishu. That is their party leader, youth leader, Buru Odinga, their national chairman, and the deputy party leader, Simba Arati. You saw how they got embraced. And there's some feeling that in 2027, William Ruto might run on ODM party. Because, some people also believe that UDA might not be sellable, because we've seen changes taking place in this country each and every election. That the vehicle that forms power, next they change the vehicle. And from the recent by-elections that were done, it was evident that UDA is still popular. Yes, Patrick Enosoi. The stadium will have been built by taxes collected from the manufacturing industry, my friend. Not manufacturing industry. So the stadium was an agency. Actually, we want to host a continental tournament, and this stadium is an emergency, of which the speed at which it is built with has never been seen. That is something we have to agree. On this, we have to agree. So when and how are we going to wait for these taxes to be collected for the stadium to be built? This stadium is going to recover that money. Believe me, you. Talanta is a cash cow for William Samoei Ruto and his culprit. Please note, we all as FBI will reclaim the lost dignity of our nation. We will revoke some debts. My friend, once the debts have been taken, the debts are not taken by the people in power, but these debts are given to Kenya as a country or as an institution. All the debts that were taken by Uhuru Kenyatta and Kibaki are being paid by the current president. So even if you become the president the next day, you will have to pay all the debts that were taken by your predecessors. So these guys, when they go there to take the debts, they don't go there as individual. That is why even Uhuru Kenyatta took a debt to build an SGR to nowhere. The SGR that was built and just left hanging there at Naivasha without any commercial impact. And it is good that William Ruto is also going to take a debt to ensure that that SGR reaches Malaba so that it can connect Uganda, and it also reaches Kisumu so that it can also be able to have some economical impact, unlike what was done. I don't know what informed the SGR to be built and just dropped somewhere in Naivasha. So all these debts that are taken are always paid. The government is successive in nature, and the debts that your predecessor leaves in office, you have to pay it. The plans that were there, you have to continue with it. Like right now, we are implementing the plans that are enshrined in the Vision 2030. So the other things that are brought in are just some karabati. You just try to fix some of your political promises within the framework that is there. So this idea and mentality that once you elected the president, you are going to revoke some debts and such kind of things. These are just wishful thoughts and some activist campaign strategies that can't be practically implemented. My brother Patrick Konsoi. So kindly research on that, how governments work. You'll be able to appreciate it. Good day is saying that Kenyans with hyping individuals, now you are probably young to remember. People sang one time to Moi, and guess what? 24 years later, it's true. So the good thing here, despite my young age, I sometimes try to read books to understand things that happened when I was not there. That is why when I see people singing one time, I can comfortably, based on what I read, know that these things that are happening are not new. And if you look at the trends, they're not going to happen. The nonsensical one term or two term is not the solution. It is time to drain the swamp. Yes, Patrick, and so draining the swamp. How do we drain the swamp? We've seen people coming, we are draining the swamp, draining the swamp. At the end of the day, they end up being part of the swamp. You know? Amos Bosire, the biggest weakness of Kenya's united opposition today is not lack of numbers or public support. It is disunity, personal egos, regional calculations, and endless power struggles are taking precedence over the national interest. Instead of presenting one clear voice, one agenda, and one alternative vision for Kenyans, the position often appears fragmented, reactive, and disorganized. The confusion eludes its message. True, Amos, I agree with you 100%. Regional calculations, and I always tell people in these political talk shows that, not only in Kenya, but worldwide, we have what is called a political voting identity. Those in America will tell you, they talk of the red and the blue states. And America is always unique, and I always feel unwise to compare these democracies with the American democracy. Remember, America is an immigrant country where people migrated from different places. So they don't have tribes and such kind of things as their identity. That is why most of their politics is based on ideologies. But these ideologies are also regional based, so they're also state based. That is why we are having the red states and the blue states. But when you come to most of our African democracies, these democracies were introduced when we already had our traditional tribal and community setups. So those are our voting identities. So whenever somebody tries to lie to you that we're having some voting identity called Gen Z, those are lies. Each and every community in this country have got a Gen Z. They are Luo Gen Zs, they are Gikuyu Gen Zs, they are Kalenjin Gen Zs, they are Kamba Gen Zs. So all these Gen Zs will just have this age bracket nonsense on social media while typing. But when they go home, they get back to default. When it reaches the voting, people go back to default. That Luo Gen Z will just vote where their voting identity is. You get that? That is why we are not yet at a point whereby our politics is going to be determined by the ideologies. These ideologies will always be attached to our voting identities. The ideologies of Raila Odinga will be attached to his voting identity. The ideology of Rigathi Gachagua, however stupid or foolish they are, will be attached to Murima. So those people who come from Murima will, before following Gachagua, they identify as Watu wa Mount Kenya, then they buy the ideologies of Gachagua. If they have to vote Ruto the way they voted Ruto as a community because they bought those ideologies, William Ruto, the hustler ideology, as a community. So that is what happens with our country. So they have to make the tribal calculations. And this is also going to change. Look at the IDs that are being given. People have started questioning the numbers that have always been coming from Lima, and people are saying, could it be that we've always been fooled all along that there are numbers there? Because if you look at the number of kids, the number of students in school, and the rest, it is not a reflection of the voters that we are having there. So as we're also moving on to the next census, these are some of the great questions that our Kenyans are going to ask. Have we been fooled all over years that Mulima is having numbers when numbers are not there? Trump himself is an immigrant with Scottish mom. That is true. And that is why when it comes to the American politics, it's so distinct, it's so different from our politics, because this is a country that was formed differently from how our societies were formed. Yeah. Imagine in the future, AFCON being played at the renamed stadium or friendlies from other countries. I'm telling you, that stadium is going to always be full. Majority of the debts have been taken unprocedurally. Once you take something, whether procedurally or procedurally, there is an agreement between the person who is giving the debt and the country. So the person who is giving you the debt doesn't care which procedure you used, and you cannot use that one as a reason not to pay the debt. It's either you pay or you default. So that one, there is no option. Did you know that there are village Gen Z? And yeah, actually, we have village Gen Z and the metro. When you go, I go to my village, and when you miss these village Gen Zs, they think differently from these ones. These blue band kids that cannot even take 2 hours lining up to vote. Yeah. So the next general election is going to be a tricky one, and William Ruto seemed to be enjoying, because as things keep on changing, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Kalonzo is not bringing new ideas. Karwa is there waiting to be named the deputy. You see, guys, let's get serious. Let us get serious. Let us get serious. We cannot just sit there and thinking that we are going to change the leadership or remove the president from power through hashtags. Eh? Are we getting real? All right. That was great, guys. This was a 60 minutes conversation. Of course, we've done more than 60, and I'm sorry that we are going to end it maybe when the conversation is peaking. We're going to meet here. We'll be meeting same time, same place, and we are going to have some interactive debates. So if you've not subscribed to our channels, kindly ensure that you subscribe to the channel, so that whenever we go online, you'll always get notified. So let us meet tomorrow. We are going to have some political talks one-on-one, as we try to analyze some of the things that are happening within our country, just Kenyan politics. That Kenyan politics, as I want to thank those people who joined. I can see good here. Leo, there is no opposition. I've resigned. Ruto will be the president 24 years later. Oh my goodness. No, we have the constitution. So we have to say that we have to thank the constitution that is going to protect us and allow Ruto to be the president for only 2 terms. But were it not for the constitution, he would have broken the record of Daniel Moi. No opposition here. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Katina Geoffrey Pogisho, thank you so much for joining. Amos Bosire, Dennis Kalonzo Ndini, mngekuwa msioka bwana. Alfi, William Jahom, Akoth Isabel, Honorable Guru Buvati, Doris Mwendwa, karibuni na asanteni sana. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. I ensure that you set your alarms. We'll be live from 10 p.m. And of course, tomorrow we are going to do 2 hours of these conversations.